All right, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Most Searched. This is a show where Warren and I talk about the most searched things throughout the course of the week.
The United Arab Emirates. No, is that right? Yes, it is. The UAE. I was like, I couldn't remember if that was just the airplane company or not. For a second, my brain switched off. So they just launched their first rocket to Mars.
Kind of where my mind was
They
at.
launched their first space orbiting rocket to look at Mars and track, from what I read or understood, the weather patterns and so on of Mars for a period of time, for obvious reasons. For my brain, sorry. For I don't know.
This is going well. Keep going.
Yeah, my brain just terraforming. That's the word. Terraforming Mars for us still to for us to move there and eventually live there in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And the other purpose is to inspire a new generation of scientists, because this is their first time doing it and it was successful. And obviously it's going to help everyone, including SpaceX, NASA, and such, for the information they will bring back on the knowledge they get from permanently tracking or getting information off of Mars's orbit. So that's random, just science news.
So what kind of rocket is this exactly?
I'll have to read more into it, but it's a space shuttle in a sense. This doesn't hold any people that they're shooting off into space. That's going to go straight. It's called the interplanetary rocket, and it's going straight to Mars, and it's just basically going to orbit Mars, from what I understand, for a period of time. The length of time I don't know, and monitor weather patterns and the rocks and whatever else, the surface.
So it's almost like a satellite.
Kind of. It's there to gather as much information as possible, so when certain humans from SpaceX eventually get there, then they at least prepared, I suppose, for what's coming up. They know what to do. They know how long the storms last, when they kind of come, where might there be water, where's unstable ground, whatever the case may be. That's from what I understand. And to inspire a new generation of scientists as well. That's the double multi-layered goal.
Well, I can see why it would inspire a new generation, because it's a new topic to be researched.
Yeah.
Something that hasn't been researched yet. So that is, I mean, if you are in that field or if you're an academic, that is something to be inspired by. So, and also you'll be then responsible for the lives of the people you send to Mars eventually.
And the billions and billions of dollars spent.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't box like Mayweather and you're a really smart person, I suppose being a scientist trying to understand Mars isn't a bad route to go either.
Yeah. If you can't throw a punch,
although I'd like someone to
you can't throw a physical punch, throw a mental punch, bro. That's what it is.
Mental punch. Unless, of course, a lot of interns just get shafted. The really smart guys, they didn't go pay anything, and all the money goes to Elon Musk. I'd like someone to debunk that as well. That's what happens.
It's always plausible, I guess.
Yeah. So you're saying, so this thing's literally just going to orbit Mars. It's going to pick up, like you said, it's going to be like a normal satellite picking up weather patterns, like we would study hurricanes flowing over the oceans.
From what I understand, yes. From what I understand, yes, there could be way more to it. But from the brief skimming I did based on it, that's what its at least main purpose is, or at least the original purpose. It could do more, but that's what I got from it. So something cool, I guess.
When you're explaining it initially, I was wondering if it was like pretty much like the ISS station that could still do that, but eventually it could still house people there.
Yeah, no.
I guess you wouldn't want to go all the way to Mars and just orbit its atmosphere, not land on Mars.
I suppose that. I suppose
that is something that's in the works, though, that I've seen from
that's SpaceX. Yeah, I think the dilemma with that one is one, obviously space. First of all, not space itself, physical space in the shuttle or the rocket, as well as fuel, food, everything.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think they have planned that far ahead, at least. I mean, if SpaceX has been trying to do this for however many years now, not like they've been doing it for 30 years, but a period of time, and they still in the it's still in the pipeline. You can't see the UAE suddenly just firing people off to Mars. Okay, make it work. Then there's a bit of a problem.
But
It
in
is the
Dubai,
ultimate social distancing, though. If they do that.
yeah, definitely. But also, it's funny that you said like there's some space issues out there in space when there's so much space. So that blows my mind a little bit. But in Dubai, I've heard of people that actually creating an artificial atmosphere where they can create rain, which is where they're in the process, or they're currently doing that,
Did
which is
people
interesting
not
to that
watch
terror.
Geostorm? Huh? That horrible movie Geostorm,
Well,
where they
horrible movie. No,
controlled
I haven't seen it.
where the satellites basically created weather, and then someone hacked the
Really?
satellites and created mass storms around the world. Yeah.
Jeez, people are terrible. They always take something good and turn it into something
Yeah,
devilish.
basically like a satellite would shoot random capsules, I guess. I can't remember exactly what it
Yeah,
was. If
yeah.
there was like a massive storm coming, and it would fire them into the clouds of the storm, and it would de-static the clouds and all that kind of stuff and make clear skies again.
De-static the clouds, eh?
However you want to put it. I don't even know what it is. De-storm the clouds, whatever it is. And basically
Neutralize the cloud, maybe. I don't know.
that's the word.
Yeah,
That's the word. So
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
it did. And then obviously someone hacked it and then used it to actually create the storms rather. Yeah. If there was a drought, they would make rain. Basically, that was the purpose of the.
Yeah, so they're currently doing that in Dubai, where they're creating artificial rain.
Yeah.
But it's gotten to a point that they're getting more rain than they've had in the past. So the roads and stuff that they built aren't equipped to obviously drain that rain. So the roads are actually flooding at the moment. That's what I got one or two friends telling me in Dubai, which is pretty interesting. So when you're talking about terraforming going to Mars, we know these sort of things are possible. And it's just interesting to see what officially or eventually is going to be the route we take as a species and whether or not it's necessary to go to Mars in the first place. I mean, can you imagine spending all that time and money to try and like inhabit Mars where we could actually just be spending it here and trying to fix our planet?
Yeah, that's not. Well, we know that's not going to happen. So I don't know what to tell you. It could have been done 10 times over already, fixing a lot of the cuck here. But why?
So to mention this previously, we don't even know what's swimming at the bottom of our oceans, but we're trying to go to Mars.
Yeah, but no, but you got to understand the difference is once you get to space, the pressure is the same. You don't have to try and rebuild and reinforce things because once you crack the atmosphere, that stays the same. The problem with the ocean, besides the fact it's difficult to go around the whole ocean due to oxygen levels and all the fuel and all that kind of crap, the deeper you go, the higher the pressure, obviously. So I think that alone, just that alone, I know you can go there. They've built small little, I don't want to say submarines, but those vehicles that can go super deep. But I guess there's multiple reasons for it. I suppose just the mere fact alone that moving around underwater is more difficult than just floating in space. I suppose. I don't know. But
I suppose the need, I know I'm saying this, I suppose, but the need to explore space is probably far greater from an inspiring point of view than going down deep in the oceans
yeah,
and
look, we don't
finding
want to
Atlantis.
we don't want to wake God. We don't want to wake Godzilla. Okay, that's just
And that there's a possibility
or the
that
megalodon. That's apparently
there's a possibility, dude, that like the Loch Ness monster's been swimming around. Like all these things are possible.
all the weird things that come
Conspiracy
out after
theories.
like tsunamis and hurricanes. These weird flipping creatures they haven't seen for like 500 years. You're like, oh, okay, you're still living there. That's cool. Stay there.
I think it'd be like billions of years.
No, I'm
Maybe.
saying that they last were recorded in a sense. This weird fish or whatever. So,
Well, 500 years worth thing. How were things recorded in the ocean?
I suppose it could. Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm just saying. But I suppose
Other than stories and folklore.
in a sense, the
There
swimming.
once was a giant squid swimming around the sea. I'm gonna stop right there.
What I was going to say to end this off, okay,
Yeah.
is I suppose the fact that we can all swim. Once you learn, the idea of being in the ocean, it falls flat onto being able to fly in a sense.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's part of it because every flight that is taken space-wise or plane-wise is it's always one of the it's a constant man-made marvel in a sense. where
Mm.
getting in the ocean, it's done and dusted in a sense. Yeah, we can swim, we can hold our breath, we can see underwater. Cool, we've made a submarine that can do it. But going into space is always the massive risk factor. Flying is always a massive risk factor, even though it's considered safer than driving. But it's always that. I think, I'm just saying.
But it could also, and I mean, you bring up an interesting point, because it could also be down to the fact that we do air travel a lot commercially now, and it's become a really easy thing. So the technology and advancement in that sort of space, I know you're talking about obstacles and variables affecting or hindering possible growth scenarios, but maybe there are less, because we've understood the physics behind flying an aircraft and entering it into space. It's a lot easier. I know we understand the physics going into the ocean, understanding all the pressures and stuff. But what's interesting is, instead of spending all that time and money again to live on Mars, what if we just built underwater houses when global warming eventually does arise and the world is flooded, as an example?
Because then, what do we
Why
eat?
not do that? No, well, you'd learn how to harvest food underwater.
I suppose that's what I said to you. I can't give you an answer because they could have done this already for the last 10, 15 years. I don't know. It's that's I guess a question we'll never know unless we make billions and billions in that room with those finite amount of people, which apparently now most of them are going to court and stuff for heinous things. But but besides that fact, I I suppose it's just look, if the world cracks, I don't think you really want to be underwater.
If the world cracks.
Well, I mean, global warming situations happen, whether it's volcanic eruptions, tectonic plates collide, and cause more chaos. Would you really want to be underwater?
Well, if you didn't have a chance, like if you didn't have a choice,
Well, I
all I'm
suppose.
saying is that time and money that you're spending to get someone on Mars to see if it is habitable, the Earth is habitable, that living underwater is a possibility, and it'd probably be a lot cheaper. So why not set up certain things in the meantime?
I don't know, maybe they're scared because they've seen movies like The Abyss and shit like that. They're like, nah, bro, this is all very plausible. I don't know.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine living underwater and the whole, like, most of the Earth being covered in water, and the sort of creatures that would come up from the bottom that we haven't seen? Could you imagine that, though?
Yeah, so I think that'd also be a problem. Like, you build up this window is able to withstand 7,000 pounds of pressure, but not that giant whale that's coming straight for us. So yeah. So I think I don't know. I guess it's just the idea of exploration into space. It's just always been us. We've always looked into the stars, and in essence,
But also, it's quite interesting.
we've
I
always
know
been
I'm talking
afraid
a
of
lot
water.
about this underwater. What's that? Yeah.
We've always been afraid of the water. If you think
But
about it,
yet, astronauts test in water to get ready
you
for
understand
space.
pressure. When you're a kid, didn't you want to not swim in the pool because you're afraid of sharks and shit? When you're very young, you're afraid of what could be in the pool if you're alone at night.
At night, yeah.
Yeah, but in
Yeah,
the deep end,
definitely.
exactly.
I
That's
know
my
exactly.
point.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
space, you're like, there's no sharks up there. There's none of that. There's none of this
But
giant
it's so
ass
dark. It's so dark in space. What else is out there?
I'm just saying, it's you would avoid the pool in the deep end because you're like, I can't see what's going on there. And I'm just
So
saying,
funny, man. Yeah,
we're stupid as
definitely,
kids.
definitely had that fear.
Yeah.
Definitely had that fear.